lobster if I do this.
Hello!
Hello!
And welcome to the 87th episode of Drunk Doctor Who, The Hand of Fear. Ooh. Alright, what are we drinking today?
Angry Orchard High Cider Crisp Apple. Decided to switch it up from the Twisted Tea and the Red's Apple Ales we're drinking here.
Oh, Magma Flame. Well, that's too short for bad tasting alcohol.
Also shaking it up today.
Not really, but alright.
Thank you for joining us once again.
This is The Hand of Fear. This is the DVD. And welcome to the least watched show on the internet.
Yes, we're back after a short hiatus.
Yeah, short hiatus due to like
Football season,
COVID,
allergy season, getting sick season.
Yeah, my wife got COVID, we quarantined, yada yada. Alright, anyway, so this is The Hand of Fear, and there's 4 episodes. They aired from October 2nd, 1976 to October 23rd, 1976. The companion is Sarah Jane Smith, and she is the only companion, and this is her last serial. She leaves in this serial.
Goodbye, Sarah Jane Smith.
Goodbye, Sarah Jane Smith. We hardly knew ye. She does come back into the show much later. We're talking 31 years later.
Whew, that's a lot of years.
Yeah, hold on. 30 or 31, one of the two. It's either 06 or 07. In the episode School Reunion. And the 10th Doctor is the Doctor at that point. David Tennant. And then she does show up again before then, but not with the Doctor, in K9 and Company in 1981, I believe. And then after that, not until Doctor Who in 06-07, School Reunion. And then she gets her own spin-off show, The Sarah Jane Adventures, which runs for 5 seasons. Realistically 4.5, until the untimely and very young demise of Elizabeth Sladen, the actress. She passed away and that ended the show, unfortunately. She was supposed to be in the 50th anniversary and did not quite live long enough to film it. To Sarah Jane. To Elizabeth Sladen.
Here.
Oh, and to my friend Robert.
To Robert.
To Robert. Rest in peace, Robert. I hope you knew our Christ Jesus, our Lord and Savior. Alright. Okay, so you all out there, Eldrad Exodia? What's Exodia?
Well, there's an awful lot of talk of extermination and obliteration, yeah.
But what's Exodia?
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh.
Obliterate! I just assume, since all the obliteration talk, that
no.
had to be somewhere.
It's just Eldrad.
People are being sent to the Shadow Realm ladder.
And he wrote ladder underneath Eldrad because I noticed that Eldrad was an anagram of ladder for some strange reason.
I tried to look for a better ad. I don't think there is one.
Rattle? I don't know. Oh, but yeah.
Eldrad without red.
Right. This may be a fairly short episode because
or a fairly long one.
No. Oh, because the plot to this is relatively simple.
Yeah, simple plot. Cut down on the recap.
Yeah. How many deaths did we have?
Maybe 3. Maybe 2.
What do you mean?
Maybe 1. At most 3.
We had 3. The guy at the beginning.
So we had Obar.
Yeah.
Who got very cold. He might have
froze
died.
to death.
But he was dragged out by Zeskar.
Yeah, but he was frozen.
He might have died. And then we had Dr. Carter, who dove off. Definitely is dead.
Definitely dead.
Definitely dead. And then we had
Dillian or something?
Well, I guess Eldrad. We could count Eldrad. So that's definitely 2.
The Eldred dies.
Wait, no, he didn't, because he said probably not. It's very hard to kill. Probably not.
Very hard to kill. Okay, no, but the guy who walked into the chamber with the hand.
Oh, he's definitely dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at least
3 deaths. So there's actually less than 1 death an episode, which is really good for this show.
It's technically off screen, but we're gonna count.
Well, we see him walking into the nuclear reactor. He's dead as a door.
Where there's an explosion. And...
Yeah. Okay. All right. Episode 1. The Tardis lands in a quarry, because apparently half of Great Britain is a rock quarry, or at least that's
the best sci-fi filming locations
ever.
It's what they used to film the moon landing.
Mm-hmm. It's what they used to film
when they
Scarrow.
Moon landing.
Yeah,
moon landing wasn't real, by the way.
Balderdash.
They filmed it in the Clichy pit. That's the theory.
All right. We are going to keep this angle for the camera because apparently I've been watching. My wife got COVID last week or 2 weeks ago, and we were quarantined for a week, and so I caught up on all of our videos, and apparently this angle of the camera is perfect for not getting any echo. So hopefully you don't hear any echo anymore.
Echo!
Stop that.
Echo, stop that.
Hey, anyway.
Anyway. I still hear an echo.
Yeah.
See?
Okay, so, alright, before we continue, I just want to tell you, if you're watching us on YouTube, awesome, that's our original main place. I think we're still being shifted over to BitChute as well, and I've been putting our videos on Patreon, and I've recently started putting our videos on Rumble.
Something to do with algorithm. It's very hard to find our episodes when you just search it in. Need
in Rumble or BitChute or where?
All of them. YouTube even still. It's hard to find us in YouTube.
Oddly enough,
you have to type exactly letter for letter the name of the episode for it to pop up in the search results. You search your name, it's hard for it to pop up. It's
like I said, we're the least watched show on the internet.
Find.
So, oddly enough, the most views we have per episode is actually on BitChute. I think we get in the 50s, where we're still averaging about 6 on YouTube.
I still can't find us on BitChute or...
I'm not sure if we have any yet on Patreon or Rumble at all, but we only just started that.
Patreon is basically just YouTube links or
yeah, or
Patreon's not a video
YouTube
website.
or Vimeo. Yeah, but it's a place where people can donate if they want. We don't have any donations. We don't expect any donations. We'd love for people who like us to pay for the alcohol, but we don't expect it. But we'll try. But anyway, but I'm slowly but surely trying to put up all the videos on all those sites. Let's see, but there are issues with file sizes and stuff like that. Okay, all right. So Dr. and Sarah Jane, the Tardis shows up in a quarry, episode 1. They walk out. They're supposed to be in South Croydon, getting Sarah Jane home. They walk out, and there's a guy who's like, "Get out of there! No, they're gonna blow!" And they're like, "What?" And the doctor's like, "Maybe he's from South Croydon." Mm-hmm. And then they blow a part of the quarry, with dynamite. And the doctor is stunned, but he's okay. And then Sarah Jane is buried under some rock.
Very conveniently to where she wasn't crushed, all stacked. Just so to where it made a little
air gap completely around her, yeah.
Which is quite lucky.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, this entire episode is a statistical anomaly. Did you talk about the opening scene with the guys with the cloaks?
No, you were here. I didn't.
The observation dome?
No.
Oh.
Okay. Alright, so there's an opening scene before that where there's a couple of guys in an observation dome.
I may have been here, but I wasn't here.
Sorry, we've been drinking. That's the whole point of Drunk Doctor Who, is for us to have an excuse to drink once a week or so. Anyway, so...
Monday's my cheat day.
Yay, Mondays. Alright.
My cheat day.
Alright, so there's a spaceship flying into space. They want to obliterate the spaceship.
Obliterate.
Way past where there's no intelligent life whatsoever. So,
but they're losing control of the facility. It's losing power, and
right, because the thermal winds are getting in or something.
So they're not going to be able to hit the trigger as far out as they wanted it to. So they're going to have to detonate it early. Mm-hmm. But then he states, but that only gives us a 1 in. Well, it gives us a 1 in 30 million chance of failure that it's not going to be
3 million.
3 million, yeah. Which of course,
completely obliterated. Of course, which is what happens.
Yeah, just like of course, Sarah Jane Smith was perfectly safe in her little dome of stacked rocks that didn't crush her.
So the ship's blown up. Apparently, there's somebody in there that's so horrible that they should never, ever, ever, ever even have a theoretical chance of surviving in a gajillion years, even though they're probably already dead.
Why didn't they just inject them with the acid from, to begin with?
Yeah, I don't know why they just didn't incinerate their body on the planet, but,
Well, rocks don't burn very well, but they have the acid thing. We'll get to that later.
Okay.
There seems like a very much more effective way to get it right.
Alright. Anyway,
they're
so
rock people, by the way. We don't know.
Yeah, silicon based. I know a few women that are silicon based.
Yeah, rock's made out of silicon. I thought silicon was like more of a rubber molecular structure. But then here, silicon based means rock.
Yeah.
Okay. I know a couple of women with a couple of rocks. A couple of
Silicone?
Silicone.
Breast implants?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying, why are rock people made out of silicone? You think they'd be
silicone?
You think they'd be more rubbery?
I
don't know either.
Okay. So anyway,
is there a difference in silicone and silicone?
Yes.
One's the memory boards that make.
What?
Computer boards have the memory, the tech. Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We make memory boards out of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not rock. I don't know the difference.
It's the element. It's the element.
Which apparently is both rock and rubber.
No, not as much rubber.
It is. It's rubbery.
That's silicone.
Oh.
Alright.
See, I didn't know the difference. Silicon. Well, the memory boards aren't made out of rock either.
No, they're mostly made out of
Is that
plastic.
also silicone or silicone?
No, it's mostly plastic.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, barely.
Silicone board. There's silicone and silicone. I don't know.
Okay.
One's rock.
Alright. So anyway, apparently the ship gets blown up, but apparently some fragment of this creature survives, the one they're trying to completely obliterate. And it's the hand of fear. Ooh.
You watch Netflix very much?
Not much.
There's this Netflix original animated show called Super Crooks. It's about supervillains. And one of the superpowers is changing molecular structure. So there's this one guy that turns people's clothes into steel, and then they fall over. They can't move.
No, I turn on Netflix for about a month a year to watch Stranger Things.
Well, I've never watched it. Is it good?
It's good.
I watched the first episode or two.
No, it's good. Or most recently for...
It has a D&D monster in it, right?
Yeah. Or more recently for...
You watch American Horror Story?
No, Squid Game. I really like Squid Game.
Squid Game was good. I like that.
It was.
I hear it was very anti-capitalist, but I didn't really get that. I feel like people read too far into things than is what is. Maybe the director or the writer intended it to be a anti-capitalism message, but I didn't really get that. I thought it was cool though.
I think it's a bit more
anti-elitist.
No. The main bad guys are Westerners. I can see being a bit anti-Western.
Yeah. But the head
Western
honcho
civilization.
he's South Korean, like the guy that made the
right. But all the people that are paying for it
Spoiler.
are Westerners.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
very stereotypically too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a thing on the system of debt and stuff. You know.
Yeah.
But
I
anyway,
don't really keep up with the South Korean economics. So the ship blew up. The arm is left floating out into space for for an amount of time.
It
ends up
floats
on
in
Earth.
space for some amount of time, then it ends up on Earth and is buried for 150 million years.
in the Jurassic limestone sediment.
Strata, the whole theory that the Earth's billions and billions and billions of years old. I don't
Younger
buy that.
theory, older theory.
Yeah. Anyway, so Sarah Jane gets caught in the rocks after they blow the quarry, and
I mean, I get how if you're making a sci-fi show and you want to explore different plots and different villains of these really old subterranean species that you would subscribe to the older theory. Just it gives you more creative freedom than if you're making a sci-fi show based on younger theory.
well, I mean,
Because then you
science
couldn't really-
fiction. That's the whole point.
Right,
Science
right.
fiction.
I'm just saying it gives you a lot more freedom in writing. So the Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith the Doctor is supposed to be taking Sarah Jane Smith home because she's tired of adventuring. She needs a vacation. She's like, I want to go home for a bit.
Not
take
as
it.
much yet.
Let's take a bit. So that's why he's taking her to
South Croydon.
where she lives. But instead, of course, he misteleports and they end up in a rock quarry that's about to explode.
Yeah, so the rock quarry gets blown up. She finds the hand. She goes catatonic. They get an ambulance there after they find her and dig her out because she screams when she finds the hand.
The hand has a ring.
Yeah, the hand has a ring on it. They take her to the hospital. Her hand is clutching like you wouldn't believe, and it turns out it's clutching the ring. But they gave her a shot for tetanus.
So they took
Anti-tetanus, yeah.
They pulled a stony hand from her grasp, but she took the ring with her.
Yeah, she held the ring.
Kind of like Pertwee when he's holding the Tardis key, or even Troughton, I think, also woke up in the hospital holding the Tardis key, and he wouldn't let go. I think it was Pertwee actually. Yeah, Pertwee was when he first regenerated. He was in the hospital and he was clutching the Tardis key. I think Troughton kept it in his shoe or something.
Well, no, Pertwee did a bit of that as well. He
Even
kept it in
Arnold,
his shoe, and that's why I was looking for his shoes.
Yeah, so there's at some point one of the doctors has like a death grip on the TARDIS key when they're incapacitated. So that's what she's doing.
Yeah, so anyway, the ring ends up having a negative effect on Sarah Jane Smith because it does whomever touches it that they must
Supposedly, but I have questions about that.
they must follow Eldred, and Eldred must live.
Eldred must live.
Eldred must live. That's repeated over and over again.
You think they can hear this on the audio portion of the?
Possibly.
that's audible?
They can hear me when I eat ice. Maybe you've watched it, right? When I eat ice,
Well,
it's crunch, crunch, crunch.
That's
crunch.
a lot louder than maybe if they turn it up all the way, they can hear the label print. Anyway,
I don't know. Anyway, so Sarah Jane Smith is in the hospital.
you know what ASMR is?
ASMR?
Yeah,
What?
the auditory response. Have you seen ASMR videos?
Okay, what does it stand for? Auditory...
I don't know. Auditory
Something response.
Auditory auditory stimulation response syndrome. So people, when they hear certain things,
That's not AMSR.
ASMR.
ASMR. What's the M?
Oh, meridian.
Meridian.
Auditory stimulation meridian. AMSR. auditory meridian stimulated response. ASMR. It's when when people hear certain sounds, it like gives them goosebumps or it makes them feel a certain way.
Well, like chalk on a chalkboard.
No, that's a bad sound. So that's an example of what you don't want to hear in an auditory meridian stimuli response.
Okay.
But other people, you hear a certain sound and it makes you feel relaxed, or you'll get goosebumps, or kind of gets you jitty. So people will make what's called ASMR videos. They blew up a year or two ago. They got super huge on YouTube, and they get these really high quality microphones, and they whisper in it, and then they whisper in this side, and then they tickle the microphone. And they'd stimulate auditory responses of like getting a haircut, so they'd be cutting hair by the microphone, and it's supposed to give the viewer goosebumps, and they get nice headphones. And anyway, it would get millions and millions of views.
Okay.
So we should make an ASMR video.
AMSR.
Auditory Stimulated Meridian Response.
Okay, so ASMR.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway.
No.
Because we get 5 views per video, we make an ASMR video.
6.
We get 1 million views because people are super into that. So
okay, we're not doing this for views. We're doing this for fun.
I'm just saying, Doctor Who themed ASMR would be...
Alright, someday, 20 years after I'm dead, this may go viral, and cool, that'd be hilarious. But we're not doing this for views, we're doing this for fun.
I'm having fun.
Yeah, I'm having fun too, that's the whole point. No views, but we're having fun.
I'm glad you're having fun.
Okay, alright.
You know what else is fun? Is ASMR. I have so many videos to show you now.
Alright, so Sarah Jane wakes up in the hospital. The doctor's okay. The doctor looking after the doctor's okay. That doctor wants the doctor to look into Sarah Jane.
Dr. Carter.
It's
the Indian doctor. I don't think we ever got his name.
No, we didn't. So the doctor looks into Sarah Jane. She's kind of knocked out. Okay. But he wants to check into pathology. So he goes down to the pathology lab where he meets Dr. Carter. Dr. Carter is a classic, quintessential British hero-looking, staunch type man. Really nice, really good.
Did I do it? Is it in one piece?
Yes.
Okay.
It's in a bad anime, yeah.
What? You don't like One Piece? There's like thousands of episodes to that anime.
There's 1,000 episodes to
one of the most
One Life to Live. I don't watch that either.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's very successful for.
Probably. I'm not.
I probably agree with you that it's also bad.
Never seen it. I don't know. I'm just
not as bad.
Saying. All right. So anyway, they go.
Just testing physics.
Okay.
I wanted to make sure we're not in the.
There's a video of my face now going.
I'm gonna clip that. It'll be the thumbnail. It's just making sure we're not in the Matrix or what is it? Inception. I want to make sure we're out of the dream.
Okay, the top yeah. Okay, so the doctor goes to the pathology lab where he meets Dr. Carter, right?
Yes.
We are not playing Spin the Bottle.
No, see, we're not in the dream. It's not Inception because it stopped.
We're not in a dream. We're just buzzed.
Some of that, a lot of thermodynamics and momentum never really stops itself, and when you're in a dream, why the top keeps spinning, why the bottle. That's how you tell if you're in a dream. Yeah. Not a dream. Stop.
Yeah. Right.
What do you do when you? Do you ever have vivid dreams where you realize you're dreaming in a dream? And what do you do to like test that out? If you're, kind of on the verge of, I don't know if this is real or not. Do you try to pinch yourself?
No. It's just sometimes. Most of the times, dreams are close enough to reality that they seem like reality.
Right.
So occasionally, you run into something that you go, "This is not reality. This can't be reality."
So it's just all in your head. You don't have any tests like, well, if I try running, I can't run in my dreams because it feels like I'm underwater.
No,
then I know I'm dreaming.
I know I have no female cousins. So last night I had a dream where my aunt's kids, some of them were girls, were female cousins, and I'm like, this is a dream. Like, I don't have any female cousins.
You never try to pinch yourself or...
No, I know it's a dream.
Or try to read something. I hear you can't read in a dream. Or some people, I think I can read in dreams.
What?
I don't know. Or you ever try fighting? When you're running and it feels like you're underwater when you're dreaming?
Okay, when I'm driving a car and I'm on a speed racer track,
yeah,
I know it's a dream, okay?
So do you ever find yourself having a vivid dream where you're mentally conscious that it's not reality and that you're dreaming?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes your brain will wake yourself up once you realize. Sometimes it'll try to distract you and make you forget that you're dreaming. But sometimes you can hold on to that vivid like dream, and then when you realize it's a dream, you can do anything and your actions have no consequences. You ever do that? You can fly in your dreams or have superpowers. You ever have a vivid dream like that where you realize you're dreaming? You're like, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, I'm usually in the shower with somebody.
Okay.
Alright. Okay, anyway, the doctor and Sarah Jane. The doctor goes to the pathology lab, meets Dr. Carter, right?
Yes.
Okay. Turns out that Dr. Carter's like, well, I don't quite understand this. And the doctor's like, well, it's because it's not, this hand is real. It's not a fake because it's not carbon-based, it's silicon-based. And it may actually still be trying to...
There's a lot of science jargon in this.
Yeah. So you get an electron microscope or electrometer or something. Are we still in the first episode?
Yes.
What's the end of the first episode?
When the hand goes into the nuclear compound.
Okay, so Sarah Jane Smith wakes up. She's been holding onto the ring. The ring has her hypnotized. She's like, Eldred must live. Eldred must live. Eldred must live. Literally this episode is not as complicated as long as our explanation. But...
You would have been finished with the first episode. Right.
You could have watched it and been done with it. So she goes to... Alright, she goes to the pathology lab. She gets the hand. In the meantime, it turns out that the little bit of the hand the doctor had Dr. Carter put on a slide for him seemed to be absorbing the radiation, and it was changing as it went along.
You know the hand from the Addams Family? Think of that.
Thing.
But made out of stone.
Its name was Thing.
Yeah, Thing, but stone. A stone thing.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so...
It kind of walks around like that. Not yet. It's still
not
just...
Not
it's
yet.
inert
It's
right
just
now.
a stone. Inert. That's a good word. So, anyway. So Sarah Jane goes in. She has the ring on.
What's the word for ensorcelled? What is Sarah Jane?
Yeah. She's basically ensorcelled.
That's what...
Yeah. Indwelt. It's another word for it. Anyway. So, let's see. So... Sarah Jane goes in the pathology lab while the doctor's going back to the quarry looking for anything else. She zaps Dr. Carter. He had touched the hand, but Dr. Carter gets knocked out. Yay, not dead. Sarah Jane takes the hand in a plastic Tupperware container. And she heads out. Dr. Carter wakes up an hour and a half later. Sarah Jane has left the building. The doctor shows up. The doctor's like, have you seen Sarah Jane?
Andy Pandy has left the building.
Yeah. So, Sarah Jane is wearing the same outfit she had on last time, which is a set of overalls with pink stripes and 3 stars, just like apparently somebody called Andy Pandy.
I was supposed to look that up, but I
didn't
look up that. But right when she comes out of the Tardis, Liz was like, that's a weird outfit.
Yeah, my wife was watching with us, and she was like, that's a weird outfit. But anyway, so Sarah Jane Smith is being controlled by Eldrad, And she leaves the building. The doctor goes, well, wait a second. If the little bit of that portion of the hand that you have is responding to radiation, where's the nearest nuclear reactor? So Sarah Jane Smith goes to the nearest nuclear reactor. She zaps the guard at the front gate. She goes in, she walks around, up and down, and goes around, and she keeps going through this Goldberg machine, this Escher painting, until she finds one of the nuclear cores.
A couple of guards on her way.
Yeah, keeps zapping them with the ring. Then she goes into the nuclear core, sets down the hand, closes the door. She's in the outer compartment of the nuclear core, and opens the Tupperware container for the hand. And that's the end of episode 1, right?
Yes, the hand starts to move.
Yeah, it starts to radiate and absorb the radiation to regenerate.
Mm-hmm. So episode 2, Dr. Carter's woken up, realizes that he's been out for like an hour and something, and that she's left the building. Right when the doctor shows back up from the court, he hasn't found anything. It was a dead end, and he gleans from Dr. Carter that Sarah Jane Smith has knocked him out and taken off. And
what was that episode 1? I just went over that.
Well, they're following her to the nuclear reactor.
Okay.
Yeah. So they get there. We're introduced to Professor Watson, who's like the head of the nuclear reactor.
I like him.
The alarm starts going off when she opened the nuclear reactor door, so he's losing his mind. He's barking orders, and it's like, what's going on? And he's shouting at Miss Jackson, like, make it stop. And she's like, I'm doing my best. She's like his assistant or something, I think.
Right.
Anyway, so they realize that Sarah Jane Smith is in this nuclear reactor chamber, and they think, well, it's a terrorist act. She's trying to blow something up, and then Dr. Carter and the doctor gets there, and it's like, no, she left from the hospital. And
she broke out. She's a patient,
yeah.
And they immediately assume she's a mental patient.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Professor Watson's like, well, it's just. Let's.
Well, we don't care. We need to stop her.
Armed guards down there, and the whole time the doctor's like, let me try talking to her, and he's like, well, we have no time to coddle her. We need to get this situation under control. So Sarah Jane Smith is sitting there in the nuclear chamber, and the hand is coming back to life because it's absorbing the radiation, and the doctor's like, I need to get to her because she's locked the door from the inside, I guess, which seems like a design flaw.
Yeah. And he's like, well, wait a second. There's a ventilation duct to get in. And the young lady, the secretary,
Jackson,
the assistant,
over 200 degrees
Celsius. Yeah, she's like.
What's the difference between Celsius and centigrade?
It's the same thing.
Same thing.
It's just called different. Yeah.
Very warm.
What's the difference between $1 and $1?
One's a male deer. The
No. It's the same thing.
A buck is.
No. We still call $1 a buck, or occasionally still a clam.
A clam is in the
right, but we still call dollars clams.
Yeah, there is a difference, though.
No, not when you're referring to the same thing.
Well, one has multiple definitions. Celsius and centigrade only share the same definition.
Yeah, to the best of our knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
All right. So anyway, this assistant
Greenback.
Yeah, Greenback. It's another good one.
But Celsius and centigrade don't seem like slang or nicknames. They both seem like very scientific terms. So it's weird.
Well, like
one thing,
dollar and greenback. Yeah.
Yeah, but Celsius and centigrade aren't nicknames. They seem like very scientific terms. It's weird to have multiple scientific terms for the same thing, whereas you can have a scientific term, a nomenclature, and a nickname for all the same thing.
Wait, we do that a lot in the world.
Multiple scientific names?
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh, okay. It's like a TV and a television. Well, TV is just an abbreviation of television.
Or when they say in the UK, video.
But Celsius and centigrade.
They say telly. They say telly.
Also a form of television.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like centigrade and Celsius isn't like an abbreviation or an acronym of centigrade.
No idea. Okay, so what's an eon?
A million years?
Mm-mm.
1,000?
Mm-hmm.
1,000 years.
What's a millennium?
Million years.
1,000 years.
Why? I never got why
There's two names for that.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Why do they call 1,000 years a millennium when that should be a million years?
Milli is a Latin derivative root that means
millimeter,
thousand.
but
it means thousand.
Then the eon.
Eon's also a term for 1,000 years.
Or K. What does the K stand for?
Kilo.
1K?
Which also means thousand.
Well, one's time and one's, volume?
Numerical.
Numerical.
Numerical. Kilogram, kilometer.
So Miss Jackson, it's like you can't go through the air vent.
So the doctor goes through the air vent. He says,
not if I move quickly.
Right. And so the problem is Dr. Carter has also been showing signs of Eldrad must live, Eldrad must live.
So Dr. Carter is following Sarah Jane Smith to the nuclear reactor, and we're thinking he's very helpful, he's very nice, he's kind of filling that companion role, he's looking after the doctor and Sarah Jane Smith. But really it's because he's also being ensorcelled, indwelt by Eldrad. Eldrad must live. So
affected by.
So that's why he's following the events so closely. So he and the doctor are headed up the scaffolding to try to get through the door, and he picks up a spanner.
And
Eldrad must live.
Eventually takes a swing at the doctor, and he swings, and he falls over by his own inertia.
Can't handle his own momentum.
And he falls over, plummets 60 feet to his death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the end of Dr. Carter. Death number 2, family show.
Yeah. So the doctor climbs through the vent and ends up in the same room as Sarah. But before he gets zapped by the ring, he puts on the guise of Eldrad must live, and she's like, "Oh, Eldrad must live." It's like two cavemen having a conversation that just consists of one word.
And
zug, 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 zug.
We've seen that in the very first series for Doctor Who. Right.
Eldrad must live. Eldrad must live.
So the doctor gets Sarah Jane out of there.
He sucker punches her once she trusts him.
No, he kind of is a Venusian foo hold. Yeah,
her jaw hurts afterwards.
He gets her out of there. He takes her. They put the hand in a container.
Back in the Tupperware.
And
it's stored in this...
Right, and she has no radiation on her because the hand absorbed all the radiation. So the container gets stored in a safe where they put all the radiation items, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. So it just continues to absorb.
By what's his name?
Driscoll.
Driscoll
goes into the room afterwards and finds the ring.
Yeah.
Picks up the ring after he picks up the hand, puts it back in the Tupperware lid, and the ring, Eldrad must live. So that's where. so
okay, is that the end of episode 2?
The end of episode 2, not quite. Once the hand goes back into the nuclear reactor.
Oh gosh. So Driscoll ends up taking the ring, and it affects his mind the same way it affected Dr. Carter's mind and Sarah Jane Smith's mind.
So here's my question is what causes the mind control? Because you think it'd be on contact, like Sarah Jane Smith touched the ring physically and she got mind controlled and dwelt and sorcelled. But then Dr. Carter also Eldrad must live. He never touches the ring. He gets zapped by the ring, right?
You notice the ring has a phototropic effect.
Yeah,
the phototropic effect affects the mind.
Right.
So I think he picked it up and it zapped him.
No, Dr. Carter, who never touched the ring, he only got zapped by the ring.
He touched the hand.
He touched the hand, but not the ring.
Right, but the hand affected him.
So Driscoll touched the ring, but through an insulated glove.
Right, but it was the phototropic effect from the ring. The hand doesn't have that.
The hand doesn't have the phototropic effect.
But the ring does. But the reason the ring does is because it has the DNA imprint of Eldrad, and we find that out later.
But so Sarah Jane Smith also knocked out a couple of guards on her way to the nuclear reactor.
Correct.
How come they never become?
We don't know that they don't. We don't know that they do.
It just seemed inconsistent to me. It's like, is it on touch? Is it on zap? Is it?
But that may be a different effect of the ring.
Okay. Because I feel like that's all Dr. Carter came in contact was with the zapping.
No, the hand. He came in contact with the hand. He had to in order to chisel part of it off.
So
the
just
radiation thing.
I didn't know the hand also could mind control you.
Well, that's what she touched originally.
Well, she touched the ring. She grabbed the finger that was wearing the ring, and when they pulled the hand off, she pulled the ring.
Eventually, yeah. but initially she touched the hand.
I thought she touched the ring initially. I could be wrong.
We'd have to see it, and I'm not willing to take the bet because you usually lose.
You know what? You're wrong.
I have been wrong.
She thought it was the doctor's hand that she reached out for.
Okay, so anyway, the hand was stored in a place with other nuclear items, which meant that it was still absorbing radiation, so it started banging its way out, or trying to bang its way out.
Slightly knocking.
It was now not inert, it was active.
So Driscoll and this other security guy in the hazmat suit are in this room, while Sarah Jane Smith is back up at the command center with Professor Watson and the doctor, and they're questioning, what happened to Dr. Carter, yada, yada, yada. Driscoll is mind controlled, so he knocks out the other guy in the hazmat suit in this room, opens up the safe, frees the hand, and starts marching it back to the nuclear reactor chamber again. So once again, the alarm starts going off, and the doctor was like, "Hey Driscoll, did you see the ring?" He's like, "No, I didn't see the ring." And it's like, "Well, you must have seen the ring before."
Yeah.
So they assume that Driscoll must be mind controlled because he must have the ring because they didn't find the ring. And
but Sarah Jane was in the outer chamber for the nuclear thing, and she couldn't get into the inner chamber. But Driscoll knows how to get into the inner chamber. He opens it up,
rainbow spindle thing.
Well, and he knows how to set it, and he knows the device to open it, which is kind of like the same thing that turns off and on your water out the back alley. And he opens it up, goes inside with the hand. At the same time, the doctor is rushing over there to stop him. Sarah Jane's coming up behind him, and he sees Driscoll going into the inner core, and the doctor turns around and grabs Sarah Jane and jumps to the ground, throws him down. Yeah. And that's the end of episode 2.
Yes. Episode 3, there's an explosion, and all the all the instruments are exploding. So they've evacuated the plant at this point.
Well, this is the part where all the instruments explode. Boom, 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 boom. And poor Professor Watson, what's his name?
Yeah.
Professor Watson's in the control room, and all the things explode, and he gets knocked down. And so in episode 3, he gets up, he's okay. Oh, and this was after a call to his wife and kids.
He evacuated the power plant. He sent Miss Jackson away. He called his wife, talked to his daughter Susan.
Oh, it was sad.
Oh, nothing's wrong. I'm just staying late at the plant.
Oh. It was a good man doing the right thing and not wanting his family to worry. And it was
also
so
a captain going down with the ship.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what it was. He was a good man, and he stays, and he does what he can. Everything explodes, but he's okay. In episode 3, a creature, Eldrad, walks out of the inner core. Eldrad is a shapely woman in a kind of rocky suit. Think, what's her face from Ghostbusters? The lady at the top of the building?
Yeah.
Like, are you Gozer?
Gosh, yeah. Gozer, right?
She was Gozer. Are you a god? Yeah. No. Yeah, so...
have you seen the new Ghostbusters? Ghostbusters, is that 4? Afterlife, Ghostbusters. With the
Afterlife,
kids.
Yeah.
This is good, right? You liked it?
Yeah, I liked it.
I liked it too.
Yeah, it was good. The last 30 minutes were basically the same as the last 30 minutes of the first movie, but besides that, it was really good.
I really liked it too, yeah. Good Ghostbusters film.
Good film. But anyway, so lady in this rock suit, Eldrad, and she's like, okay. before that happens, we get the doctor running out because they're going to nuke, with a tactical nuke, the power plant.
Professor Watson puts in the call to the AARF, the military
the Royal Air Force, the RAF.
RAF, yeah.
All right, I'm going to the restroom. You keep the plot moving. But yeah, the RAF, the Royal Air Force, to tactically nuke the place.
Yeah. So he calls it in. He says basically there's been a terrorist takeover of this nuclear power plant. So they say they want to test out their new tactical nuke and just nuke the power plant, just wipe the threat off the face of the earth. So what few people are left at the power plant evacuate, which is Professor Watson, the doctor, Sarah Jane Smith, and then a couple of gate guards, and they pull away in a Jeep, and then they park, and they're waiting for the tactical nuke to come in to nuke the power plant. So they're, hiding behind the truck, not wanting to be blinded by the flash, and holding their nose and opening their mouths so their eardrums don't burst. And the doctor's just kind of hanging out in the bed of the truck, sitting there, and they're like, doctor, take shelter. And he just smiles and goes, nah, I'll be okay. And we don't know if he's being cocky because he's a Time Lord, so he's extra durable, so he's not worried about the blinding flash or the burst of the eardrums, or we don't know if he knows something else. So the jets come in, they drop the missiles, and then nothing happens. They're like, what happened? Well, nothing happened. Why did nothing happen? There's supposed to be an explosion. So the doctor says, the creature and the nuclear vault must have had some defense mechanism that could deactivate your primitive missiles. And Professor Watson's like, primitive missiles? This is the best technology we have. And the doctor says, well, maybe to you, but not to whatever creatures inside the nuclear power plant. Of course, it's child's play to them. Maybe we should use a more archaic weapon. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, speech, diplomacy. We should go and converse with it. So they begrudgingly go, I guess that's all we can do. So the doctor goes in, and the two gate guards and Professor and Sarah Jane Smith are like, we'll let the doctor go, good luck, we're going to stay here. And Sarah Jane Smith is like, I'm going after the doctor. And they're like, no, it's too dangerous. And she's like, oh, you're right. And then she takes off after the doctor anyway. So she catches up with the doctor, and the doctor said, I wanted you to stay behind, it's too dangerous. And she's like, the doctor said, I worry about you. And Sarah Jane Smith says, well, I worry about you. And they came across the mutual agreement that, okay, we'll both be safe. We'll both be careful. So they go in to the nuclear power plant. For some reason, Professor Watson also then decides, I will also follow them into the nuclear power plant, because again, he's the captain. He wants to go down with the ship. He's involved. He doesn't want to let other people just go in and save the day. He feels responsible, I'm sure. So he goes in back to the exploded control room, and he grabs a pistol. Meanwhile, the doctor and Sarah Jane Smith are back at the nuclear reactor main chamber. So the door starts to melt from the inside out as the creature has assumedly finished regenerating, is melting the door, and they're like, I don't know. This is kind of sketchy. So they kind of retreat a few paces back, and they wait for the creature to come out. Meanwhile, the door's melting, so they run off back to the control room. They, I think, have a conversation with Professor Watson. But eventually they make their way back down to the nuclear chamber, and they run into Eldrath, who is, again, the shapely crystalline woman. And they begin the diplomacy, and they're trying to talk their way through their differences. And Eldrath is very upset about getting tactically nuked.
Well, they helped her regenerate.
Yeah. So that's the conversation that's happening, and she's been betrayed. Of course, she's been exploded, and her arm drifted off through space. So she's very mistrusting. She keeps reading the doctor's brain, which is very taxing for him to do.
Oh, that's so annoying.
Yeah. He's like, I would have told you. And then she's like, well, what is your origin? And what is your intention? He's like, I didn't intend to hurt you. And she reads his mind. She goes, oh, okay, you tell the truth. And he's like, I told you.
I would have told you. You're a Time Lord. I would have told you.
They have this back and forth. And eventually she kind of comes around to where she's like, okay, I guess I trust you. I don't trust anyone else, though.
Well, she has to trust him. She has no choice.
She comes to terms with the fact that, it's been like 150 million years since I've been betrayed. And she's like, well, I need my revenge. I have to get back to the planet Castria to have revenge on the people that exploded. So they basically come to terms where, you're a Time Lord. You have a Tardis. You can travel through time and space. You have to take me back to Castria back in time so I can prevent this. And he's like, well, I'll take you back to Castria, but I can't mess with the timeline, so I'm not taking you back in time. I can just physically take you there now, currently. And she goes, well, I guess I have no other option. Yeah, let's go. And then, meanwhile, Professor Watson comes around the corner and drops
tries to shoot her. Like 6 shots with a pistol.
Doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. She starts to kill him. The doctor says, if you kill him, I will never take you back. So she stops trying to kill him. All right, your turn?
My turn.
She tries to kill him. The doctor leaves. Okay. So they leave. He's okay. The doctor's like, I'm not leaving until I make sure he's okay. They make sure he's okay. So then they all go in the doctor's car. In Professor Watson's car. They leave. They go to the TARDIS. In the TARDIS, Eldrad's like, ooh, this is amazing. You are a Time Lord, and your technology is phenomenal. Where are the weapons? The doctor's like, well, what are you talking about the weapons? She's like, they're all up here. She's like, no, I must have to control weapons. She tries to control the doctor there, but the doctor's like, we are in nowhere and everywhere. You can't control us. It is not possible here. So, she's like, so they end up going to Castro or whatever, and they get out and they go to the geodesic dome. And they get there, and she's like, well, I have laid plans for the resurrection of my people. And she puts the ring in the deal, and the power comes on. And then and they're like, well, wait a minute. Where would your people be? There's nothing on this planet. And she's like, well, they would be down in the thermal caves. So she opens the door to the thermal caves, and immediately gets struck by a spear with a liquid in it, like a big long liquid tube, like one of those, like foot-long tubes you get at the Ren Fair. It's like, and that's the end of episode 3. Episode 4 begins. She's holding the tube. The doctor goes to help her. She tells him to stay back. She manages to pull the tube out, and she's like, okay, that was acid. The acid will break down my molecular structure. The doctor's like, well, can we help you? She's like, there's nothing you can do to help. Well, maybe there's a regeneration chamber on level 306. So they managed to go inside, and there's a couple of traps. Sarah Jane triggers one of them. It's a light trap, but it's a gas trap, but it's designed for, not carbon-based, but silicon-based. They keep going in further, and they managed to get down to level 306. In the meantime, a computer's telling, apparently, a Sentinel what's going on. The Sentinel does not react. The Sentinel turns out to be the dead king later on. Dead 150 million years. So the Sentinel's not going to react. So they get down there. It's level 306. Turns out there's an abyss they have to crawl over. The doctor picks up, literally on his shoulders, the very heavy. The actress looks like she's about 120 pounds, but you get the idea she's heavier because Sarah Jane indicates that. So she's probably about 200 pounds, about my weight, because she's crystalline based, not carbon based. Silicon based, not carbon based. She's rock. Anyway, so They get her across. Sarah Jane comes across. They go to the regeneration chamber. They put her on the flatbed, and then there's a small chess set from Ichinitsa there, and apparently we're playing a game of chess very, very, very slowly.
Just like Sherlock Holmes.
So anyway, they get Eldrad into the regeneration chamber. They put Eldrad on the regeneration bed, and the regeneration bed comes down,
Crushes
Eldrad. Looks like completely destroys her. Turns out that Eldrad's DNA was always in the ring, which allows Eldrad to regenerate. Feel free.
Is that the liquid or is that the cup that's so heavy?
Mostly the cup, a little bit of the liquid.
It's a hefty cup.
Try it. It's a Magmaflame. You like Magmaflame?
So smooth.
I do like it.
It's not syrupy though. Like
it's cinnamony.
What's that other?
Cinnamon.
Fireball. It's not as syrupy as like
no. Fireball's syrupy. This is not. That's why
it's
I like
very, very smooth. Cinnamon whiskey.
All right. So anyway,
Sarah Jane Smith's striped overalls. Andy Pandy was a 1950s children's television series where the main character was a little doll that had a striped overalls.
In Britain, right?
Yeah, British children's 1950 children's.
So like Andy Pandy.
So that was the reference.
All right. So you looked it up on your phone.
I looked it up.
All right. So the doctor. So Eldrad was supposedly destroyed, but then he comes back. He's male now, much broader of shoulder and bigger of stature. So apparently Eldrad was female originally because
I think male originally.
Yeah, male originally, but female what we had seen because Sarah Jane had touched the hand first, and it morphed into her form. Which
Eldrad is transsexual. Canon.
It is literally the first instance in the show of regeneration between not necessarily genders, but gender forms. We don't know if the genders are different, but gender forms.
Female Eldrad did have a very masculine, deep voice and booming. It was still you could hear
raspy voice, but she was very femininely shaped.
Yeah,
so she was hot.
Obviously, they're referencing season 13 when the Doctor regenerates as a female. They had it planned out since 1976.
Season 13?
Is that one? Or Doctor 13?
No, we're in season 13 right now.
No, the season 13 was referencing the 13th regeneration of the Doctor.
Okay, the 13th Doctor.
13th Doctor.
No.
Female, yeah. They had it planned out since 1976.
Stab yourself in the heart with that pen, because you're wrong. Alright, anyway, so it's a male form, and he's like, this is my planet, I did this. But then he admits to...
Also, Time Lords can breathe through their buttholes.
No.
There's a lot of canonicity coming out, obscure canonicity.
No.
Because he's strangulated and respiratory bypass.
I'll leave and I'll
What's
come back
the
when you're done with this crap. Alright. So Eldrad admits to being the bad guy, but he wants to be ruler of the planet. But he says, everyone's dead, but I'll get all these people back from the racial banks. But the racial banks are gone. The racial banks are dead because the planet decided the race decided to kill themselves, to Masada themselves.
So,
rather than die an ignominious death.
If Hitler was immortal, would you end the human race just to avoid Hitler's conquest of humanity? They're very stoic, what's the word? Pragmatic people that are like, well, we tried killing Eldrad, we don't think he's gone for good. There's a 1 in 3 million possibility of him not being totally obliterated, so they're like, we probably shouldn't take the chance. We should just end our entire race so he doesn't come back.
They literally do that.
Very pragmatic. what's the word? I'm not willing to take any chances. They ended their entire civilization just for the 1 in 3 million chance that Eldrad might come back and conquer the galaxy or whatever.
Yeah.
Very straightforward statistic, not very hopeful people.
but they were dying anyway. They knew they were dying. So, much like the bad movie last night, you know?
Yeah, they opted to... It was a good movie.
No, it was a bad movie.
It was great.
Alright, so anyway...
I really liked that movie.
You did, you rated it 100.
Where they're having the mind control battle and she stands up to Alpha and... Ooh, that was a good movie. I like that.
We watched Missiles to the Moon last night for bed movie night.
It was so good. I
This
highly recommend.
No, rated 100.
I highly make. Well,
if you can find this movie,
some bad movies.
I'm sorry.
No, I
yeah,
highly recommend it. It's worth a watch. It's a good movie.
No.
Stunning cast. Andrew Garfield, I think.
No.
Looks a lot like.
No. It's from the 1960s. No, 1950s. Alright, anyway, so Eldrad admits that he was the one who did all the bad things. He was the one who betrayed his people. He wanted to be king, and now he's king of nothing.
Because no one had any ambition, which I agree, they really don't.
And now he's king of nothing.
Man, that was poignant. I love the whole speech between King Rokon and Eldrad.
Yep. And
you wanted to be king, you have it. You are now king. All hail King
of nothing.
King Eldrad, the king of nothing. And it's just,
and the Doctor and Sarah Jane's like, I wouldn't want him to be my king. I mean, and he's like, turns around and he's like, I will be king of Earth. And the Earthlings are ambitious and violent. We will conquer the galaxy. And the Doctor and Sarah Jane run away, distracting him with what he thinks is his ring. And they run over to the abyss, and they each get to one side. They hold out the Doctor's scarf, and he runs at them, and the Doctor and Sarah Jane pull on the scarf at the right time, and Eldrad trips over the scarf, falls into the abyss, and is falling forever into nothingness. You know?
That's like the second or third time he's used his scarf to trip somebody.
Yeah,
the same
does it in
thing
Genesis of the Daleks.
Invasion of the Where's where he's fighting the robot, and he blinds it, but he tries
Robot.
to trip.
It's just called Robot.
Yeah,
it's the Fourth Doctor's first serial.
So Eldrad was a really cool villain, you know, and they spent. It had really good writing. They had really good back and forth between King Rokon and Eldrad and his zealous ambitions to conquer the galaxy, and all hail King of Nothing, and it was so good. And then he the end he's defeated by tripping over a scarf into an abyss. It kind of felt anticlimactic. So you have this really cool villain like Boba Fett from Star Wars, and then he dies in a really anticlimactic way where he falls into the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah,
that's Eldrad. He just kind of tripped over a scarf into an abyss. It was so cool. It was such a great serial.
That guy from the Star Wars Christmas special?
No. He's in the first. He's in the 5th and 6th episode.
Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. But his first showing was in the Star Wars Christmas special.
That was his... Was it really?
Yes, it was. I have it in there on,
I didn't know that.
On DVD. Yeah. He first showed up in the Star Wars Christmas special.
5 with
Star Wars Christmas special between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
It's
very
bad.
Yeah, I know the special's bad.
It is. It's so bad.
What do you think of Chewbacca's dad, Grandpa Chewbacca? He puts the VR headset on and he's watching porn or something.
Erotica. Anyway, so he's dead, and then the Doctor and Sarah and Smith go back to the Tardis, and they're leaving, and she's like, well, I'm tired of being hypnotized. I'm tired of being... Because she gets her short of the stick all the time.
she already wanted to go home with the end of last serial.
Right.
Where she's like, take me back to...
Yeah, I'm tired of being cold. I'm tired of being hot. I'm tired of being chased. I'm tired of being frozen.
The Mask of Mandragora.
Right, and she's like, okay, so I'm gonna leave, and she goes to collect her stuff. The doctor, in the meantime, is trying to fix part of the control circuits with the Tardis, and he's not quite listening to her, like, not at all. And she goes to collect her stuff, and in the meantime, the doctor fixes everything, and then he gets this weird resonancing in his head. It's a call from Gallifrey. And he has to go back to Gallifrey. But he's like, I can't take Sarah Jane to Gallifrey. I've got to take her to South Croydon. So she shows up all packed, but it was just a bluff because she was tired of certain things, but she didn't necessarily want to leave.
I mean,
he's like...
So she's one of the longest running companions. And she's the only
behind the Brigadier.
Yeah.
And behind Jamie McCrimmon.
So, and also she's the only companion, so she's always filling the role of forwarding the plot by being damsel in distress or getting captured or hypnotized. She's always
just asking questions.
Conflict, yeah. So obviously she's very worn out at this point. She's long running and always alone, basically, other than the doctor.
Yeah, so but we love Sarah Jane Smith.
We really do. But I understand why she's tired. I would have, most other companions would have bowed out long ago.
And many of them have done as such. Mm-hmm. So she's like, okay, I want to go. And the doctor gets the call, and I've got to go to Gallifrey. And this has never shown up in the show before. I called the doctor directly as a Time Lord to go to Gallifrey.
The Time Lords have called the doctor before.
No. They sent him missives and...
Yeah. In a physical messenger.
Messages and messengers, but they've never called him directly, right?
Boop, 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 boop. He's called them directly.
Yes, he has.
Mind fusion. Woo.
Yeah. So he says, okay, so Sarah Jane's like, I've got to go. And the doctor's like, how'd you know? I've got to drop you off. And she's like, what? And she doesn't necessarily want to go. It was kind of a bluff on her part. But he's like, okay, I've got to drop you off in South Croydon. And he prepares to do that, and she has all her stuff, and she's sad, but she leaves. And then the doctor and the TARDIS leave. And then she realizes she's not in South Croydon.
He botched the landing again.
He
leaves her stranded somewhere, and we assume the right year.
In England.
And we assume England. She's somewhere.
But not South Croydon.
So, assumedly supposedly she gets home safely. That would suck if you're like, okay, Holden, I'm tired. Drop me back off in Lubbock. I'm like, here you are in Austin. Or New York, I don't know.
Yeah. But, Memphis, Tennessee. But that's the last we see of her until...
hopefully she has cab fare.
Until K9 and Company. And
we watched the pilot episode.
Mm-hmm. Right. But
and K9.
That's still in the future chronologically for the show.
So there's K9 and Company, and then did we also watch the pilot to Sarah Jane Smith?
Sarah Jane Adventures.
Jane Adventures.
That'll come much later.
Okay.
So we see her again in... I think I said this when you were out or when you were here, but we see her again in K9
If I was
Company.
Here, there's a good chance.
One, the pilot, and then we see her again in some of the third-party stuff, like Downtime, and then we see her again in the main show in 30 years, either 06 or 07, in School Reunion. I think it's 06, 30 years from now. And then we see her in
60.
the Sarah Jane Adventures.
50 something.
She's in her 50s when she passes away. When Elizabeth Sladen passes away. It's really sad.
That's sad. That's young.
That was the end of the Sarah Jane Adventures because she passed away.
What was the cause of death?
I don't know. The British are a bit more conservative about revealing causes of death.
You hear about Bob Saget? Bob Saget passed away, and they still haven't announced.
And Meatloaf passed away, and Louis Anderson passed away both this weekend.
Oof. It's like, what was that year? 2018 all over again. We lost so many people in 2018.
I'd rather be 2018 than 2022.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so Sarah Jane's gone. The Doctor's going back to Gallifrey because the Time Lords called him. The Hand of Fear is dealt with. What questions do you have?
Supposedly, maybe he'll come back because he said he's probably not dead. Right?
No, in the abyss, falling forever in an abyss.
Well, until he hits the center of the planet.
No, falling forever in the abyss.
Well, how is it forever?
In the center of the planet, you get
a hole
into molten rock.
Well, he is rock. He said he thrives off of...
You get melted.
He thrives off of the energy of the core of the planet, the limitless radiation. Maybe he comes back.
Never comes back.
Wouldn't that be cool if he does, though, LJ? He was a cool villain.
That would be interesting.
Up until he tripped over a scarf, he was pretty cool.
Alright, what are your questions?
We talked about the nature of mind controlling and how the ring worked, or it was the hand that was mind controlling him. Also, did we talk about the Tardis control, the new retro wooden stained glass windows TARDIS control room? It's here to stay. Like that's just the 2 episodes.
It's here for a bit, and because it's a secondary control room that supposedly is from its past that we don't know about, but it doesn't stick around for very long.
So we've seen problems go wrong with the TARDIS, like when he takes the Mercury thing out.
Yeah.
But maybe that was just a hardened ruse. Maybe it would operate without the Mercury. But then he actually loses it.
Yeah.
But he needed to get it back then, right? Because he took it out on purpose, but it's still necessary. So is there one of those tubes for each control room? Or is it the same control room just with they walk out and they walk back in, kind of like in Madhouse Mirrors, it changes shape? Or
no earthly idea, sir. It's whatever the plot demands at the time.
We talked about Andy Pandy and the pink overalls. So you mentioned there's really good film angles, like really good shots in the series. Specifically, the first episode was very psycho horror themed. There's a lot of cool camera angles. There's ominous
that shot where it goes up towards the disc that is supposed to allow you to see what's coming, and it shows Sarah Jane walking towards the nuclear power plant. It's just great. It's a great shot.
Yeah, the whole first episode had you on kind of on edge. Is the ominous music and the ominous camera shots, and you had they're driving, and it had the anti-view where he's looking up at them. It's just very unsettling. It was a new theme that I hadn't really seen before. They put a lot of effort into these shots, and then it kind of went back to being a normal sci-fi episode series. I thought it was fun. Dr. Carter it kind of felt like he filled the companion role for the first couple episodes. And
then he goes to get the doctor and dies.
We realize he's only actually being so helpful and following through because he was being mind controlled, and he probably
Eldred must live.
Yeah. The doctor had that cool part where he deceives Sarah Jane Smith by pretending that he's also mind controlled.
I like that.
Okay, we talked about the ring. Oh, where's the unit? Where is the unit the whole time where this extraterrestrial threat is taking place?
They never had a chance to contact them.
I guess not. But they're still there. They're still around.
Yes, they are.
We see a unit in the future, right?
Yes, we do. We do see a unit in the future.
So there's just lack of communication. They never show up.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I guess the doctor probably wouldn't want unit to show up because Brigadier's plan would probably be to shoot.
Where in the world in the timeline of what happened? It seemed like a day. Could he ever have contacted unit?
Right. Yeah. Well, the professor calls and they should send the RAF.
But it all seems like a single.
He doesn't really explain what's going on, because at the end he kind of has that meltdown of no one's going to believe me.
Exactly.
No one is going to believe me.
Episode 3, yeah.
You would probably believe him. Well, we talked about how Eldred's transgender. Oh, did we talk about temporal grace in the Tardis? Apparently,
yes.
When they're in the Tardis, there's exist but don't exist, and they can't harm people.
Right. Yeah.
Except they have been harmed in the Tardis before.
Yeah, don't ask questions.
With mental abrasions. And so, does that come up again in the future, though, the temporal grace? Is that a mainstay of the Tardis, or is that just a one-shot kind of thing?
I think it's the Doctor lying his ass off.
That's a... I didn't think about that.
You didn't expect that answer.
That's a very good... That's a very good answer. I didn't think about that. So Eldred was booby-trapped when she first opened the door, and she was shot with the dart that had the poison that kind of...
The acid.
The acid that decomposed her silicone structure, which seemed very effective. She seemed very afraid of falling apart and being turned into dust like the other really aged Castria people. Mm-hmm. Why did they have such a hard time obliterating Eldred? Why didn't they just use that poison in the first place and turn her into dust and then shoot the dust off?
No friggin' clue.
That seemed a lot more effective than trying to blow her up or throw her down an abyss, because they threw her down the abyss and he said, she's still alive. He's not going anywhere. Very hard to kill. The acid seemed very effective.
No idea.
And, oh, you told me to write down Eldred's DNA ring, something to do.
Okay. So the DNA in the ring that allows you to be regenerated into eternity, into being able to live forever, right? Mm-hmm. Comes up again during Tennant's tenure, the 10th Doctor?
Yes. This one?
No.
Okay.
That one, yep.
Oh.
With the Master. Because the Master dies, but leaves a ring. And the ring apparently stores his DNA and allows him to be resurrected.
Hartnell also had a ring, which seems kind of like a...
But it was not like this ring.
It's like a lich and what do you call it? A phylactery? Kind of like a phylactery for a lich.
You know? Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Horcruxes.
Yeah. Like a
wow.
A warlock making a clone and then having his spirit transferred. That's cool. I like that explanation. So this ring was very integral to Eldred and his DNA, and the Doctor trips Eldred into the abyss, and then he throws the ring down after him, because why would he?
Why not? Yeah.
You think he'd want Eldred and the ring to be as far apart as possible, because that's what Eldred uses to unlock doors and
but they're all falling down an eternal abyss.
Well, it's not eternal because
whatever. It's eternal. Yeah.
I don't know.
But that kind of scenario comes back, like I said, with the Master and with the 10th Doctor.
That can be a very frustrating plot point. The whole undying, never living phylactery thing. It's like villains keep coming back, but also I think it's very cool because it's very, I don't know, fantasy-esque. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess it depends on how you handle the plot point. Because at some point you just have this villain keeps coming back because, it's just a temporal form that we defeated and it's still alive in the ether.
The Master.
Yeah. We have to go into the ether to defeat it for good.
Right, he's the eternal child, not the Doctor.
The Master is the eternal child?
That's the only thing that makes sense.
So we haven't talked about that before. So
that's the only thing that makes sense. All right, we still don't have information.
I like that.
Me too.
Theory.
Me too.
Because it's like, where did Gallifreyans, these Time Lords, unlock the secrets to regeneration and time travel? If that wasn't, naturally a part of their race, there has to have been some being.
And why is he crazy? That would make sense.
Because he's regenerated so many times. He's gone mad. Okay, I like that a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my theory. Is the master of the eternal child, not the doctor. Yeah.
Cool.
So okay. So the longest series we've had is the Daleks Master Plan.
13 episodes.
12 episodes.
12 episodes. Plus the
12 episodes. And the longest we're going to have in the future is Flux. 6 episodes, but they're 1 hour episodes. So it's going to be 6 hours just like the Daleks Master Plan.
We might have to find a holiday.
We're gonna be drunk when we get there.
Give me a couple weeks head notice, because I
will, but that's
request the next day off or something.
So we're on episode 87.
Yeah.
That's episode 299. Okay.
So Flux is fairly recently.
Yeah, it's very recent. It's like last autumn.
Have you seen it yet?
No, no.
Okay.
It comes out in the United States on the 15th of February.
6 1-hour episodes is one serial.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot.
That whole season series is one serial.
Well, 12 episodes of the Daleks Master Plan also came out to about 6 hours, right?
Yeah,
so
because they were
about
half-hour episodes as opposed to 1 hour.
Man, we were up to like 2 a.m. or what?
Yeah, it was a long episode. And we were
12.
so wasted. But not as bad as
12.
the 50th episode.
I don't think we even talked about that serial at all, because we just kind of got drunk and passed out.
No, we did talk.
The podcast was like 20 minutes. And
No, we did talk about it.
Something.
Okay. So, what other questions you have?
We about covered it. Yeah, we talked about the Gideon Ring goofy ending to Eldrad, who was a really cool villain. I thought this serial had great, camera angles and suspense and horror aspects, and then great writing and dialogue. And then we talked about the departure of Sarah Jane Smith, which we'll talk about more in a future Heroes and Villains podcast subsidiary.
About Sarah Jane Smith.
Yeah. That's all my notes. Next time. The Deadly Assassin.
Deadly Assassin.
Deadly Assassin.
The only serial where the Doctor does not have a companion.
So he's just a lot of...
It's him alone, no companion.
A lot of him talking to himself or something. Exposition. Is it?
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be very quiet otherwise.
Oh, no. It's
Do they have other people there that he's
there
working
are other
with?
People.
They kind of fill the role of companion?
No, there's no companion. It's the only Doctor Who serial with no companion at all. Alright.
Cool.
Alright. We will see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us once again.
Thanks for joining us.
The 86th episode.
87th
episode.
The Hand
of the
of
Jump
Fear.
Back Through podcast. Where we discuss the 87 serial. We'll see you next week for episode 88.
The Deadly Assassin.
The Dead Assassin.
The Deadly Assassin. Alright, see you next week, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.
Does it turn off if I just close it?